Our next panel, shifting gears a little bit, we just had some great examples of what Sony Online's doing. But you know, one of the things that actually comes up a lot is we're running virtual economies. We have virtual currencies, we have things being purchased. And every now and then, you know, you'll hear about some company somewhere hiring an economist. And so what we decided to do is bring three of the best here to have a panel discussion around economics and why it matters and how it fits into game design and so on and so forth. So, you know, I'm not going to even try to introduce them. I'm going to have everyone talk a little bit about who they are and why they're here, starting with Vili.
Thanks, William. So I work at Helsinki Institute for Information Technology and University of Tokyo, doing research on virtual goods, currencies, and economies in collaboration with companies such as Sulake, the operators of Habbo, and, well, CCP Games, EVE Online, and Nokia. And basically, I have been focusing on the question of why do people buy virtual goods, but I'm also been doing sort of in-game economics work in various in-game economies.
Yeah.
Yes, my name is Eyjolfur Guomundsson, but better known as AOG. I am the lead economist for CCP, and yes, it does indicate we have more than one. So we are basically monitoring the in-game economy of EVE Online and giving advice to developers about what to do and what not to do in future changes.
And I'm Edward Castronova. Ted is my nickname, and I'm a professor of telecommunications at Indiana University, but I have a PhD in economics.
So we're going to start things off with something fairly simple. Why does economics matter? These are virtual economies, but you know, what does economics as a profession bring to the table?
Well, a kind of a very abstract way to answer that is that as games have become very complex and involving thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people, the ability of game designers to predict the consequences of the design decisions that they make has gone down. Whereas economics is a science of understanding behavior of large groups of people and aggregate behavior. So in a very abstract way, what economics can bring to the table is ability to understand the effect of design decisions on the actual product.
And as the economist for the company here, I can say it matters because it matters for your business. It is very easy to do something with your economy that will result in either that you lose subscribers or that you make the system too complex, so you won't get new subscribers. So it does matter for your business, and it does matter for the fun of your game. And that's another point I would like to add here, is that economics and business is actually a lot of fun, and is a big and important part of any gameplay. When you have people together, when two people meet in virtual life as in real life, in the end they will start trade. They will start doing business. They will start exchanging information. That's what economics is about.
I'll answer with a story. I have a colleague who studies sex in media, and Church and Dwight are the people who make Trojans, and they make vibrators as well. And this year, they gave him something like $35,000 to $50,000, which is chump change to some of the companies on here, not to others, to study where vibrations feel good and how much. And I was shocked at this, not that someone in the ivory tower had been asked, but that it took them until the year 2010 to do the research on that, which means they had been guessing all along. As the representative of the ivory tower here, you know, basic research matters and can make a difference. And if you don't believe us when we talk about virtual economies, just remember vibrators and you'll get the point. There you go, Bill.
Thank you. Going back to economics now. Let's make that concrete. So can each of you maybe give an example of something where economic training either made a decision easier to make or reversed the decision or enhanced the game design? And let's start with Ted. and go this way this time.
Okay, I'll start off. Just the other day, I was giving a lecture about evolutionary game theory in a class, and I was some of you guys might know about this particular theoretical game. It's called the hawk-dove game. And in the hawk-dove game, the situation is if you're a hawk, you go and you fight over the resource. If you encounter another hawk, you both fight and you lose. If you're a dove, you walk up, you wave an olive branch. If you run into a hawk, the hawk takes the resource. If you run into another dove, you don't fight at all, you just split it amicably. And then there's this third strategy called retaliator, which reads signals. And the retaliator stands there and looks and says, oh, I think that's a hawk, so I'm going to fight you. Oh, no, I think you're waving an olive branch. I'm going to be peaceable to you. This retaliator strategy is really, really good. And I was kind of running through the dynamics of how you could predict how many hawks you would have, how many doves. And I have a couple of game design grad students. And I started, without even thinking about it, I started to go, well, you know, if you've got these PKers, then you have these anti-PKers, and it was just a natural way to understand that particular game. And I could just see that these stars going off, that the complicated dynamics that caused Ultima Online to just throw up their hands and say, we're going to have an all PvP environment and a no PvP environment. There was a complexity there. There was an answer where you could have gotten enough retaliators to keep the hawks out, if that's what you wanted. And I think you just didn't see the possibility because you weren't in touch with what is ultimately a really, really simple, although, you know, academic theory. So that would be my example.
Yes, from EVE Online, it's difficult to give an example of where economics have improved the game, because the game is based on economics. It was one of the key decisions in the beginning when they were designing the game, is to have a player-driven economy, where everything that is produced within the game is produced by the players, for the players, and the decision of production is made within the game. So without economics, you wouldn't even have EVE Online. So maybe that's the best example. But we have plenty of examples within the game where we have seen game balancing changes impact the market instantaneously. And if you've ever taken an economics class, the professor will talk about something that's an instantaneous change. So there's new information and the market adjusts right away. Many people don't believe that that actually happens in reality because of lack of information flow and so on. In an economy like EVE, where everything is player-driven, players have the information at hand and they utilize them, we see instantaneous price changes. So it's very important for us, when we are making changes, that we think about the consequences. And as an example, when we are changing spawning rates of resources and so on, we actually think of it in terms of the economics of it. How will it impact the market? How big will the impact be on that particular product? So there's plenty of individual examples, but I think the basic example is without economics, you wouldn't have EVE.
Well, I think EVE is a great system, amazing economy, but I think for most people probably in this room don't have such a huge, amazing economy. So what practical significance can economics have for a very simple system? One thing that I have done on a couple of occasions is that you have a let's say casual gaming community site that they're coming up with a very simple plan for a virtual economy, if you can call it that. You have few inflows of currency, of items, maybe some gifting, not even complicated markets or anything like that. But before launching that, they asked me like, okay, what's going to happen when we launch this? Is this going to work fine, or is this going to go into some horrible inflationary state or something like that? And taking a very basic sort of, if you can call it, macroeconomic approach and try to build a sort of equilibrium model of the inputs and outputs, or model it as a sort of flow chart, and then simulate what will happen based on estimates of player behavior, or if you have a profile of how the players usually behave. You can, before launching the product, before launching the virtual economy, get some idea of whether your parameters are correct or not. And in this